Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. I'm here as always with my good friend Dan Wiseman. Dan, football's back, mate. It's back.
Yes,
Pre-season is
sir.
underway. How are you doing, bro?
Yeah, I'm very good, mate. Very organized this morning. Usually it's like
Yeah,
we're 12 hours later on this sort of stuff because both of us are working and it's hectic schedules. But yeah, bright and breezy this morning. Up to talk about last night. I was unfortunately working late in the office, so we couldn't get this out to you guys on the day of the Warsaw game, but it's coming to you the morning after, which I think is the next best thing, right, mate?
obviously, we need to process what happened yesterday because club football's back. Obviously, it was good to see the day before as well, in the 23s at Chasetown, I think it was 8-2. Caleb Chukwuemeka, a hat trick, Louis Barry on the score sheet. Great to see the sort of under 19s lads having a run out there. And it's funny. I don't know about. Well, I know. There's a lad you went to school with, mate, who used to play for Burton. I know we've mentioned it on the podcast a few times. Is it Reese?
Yes, it is.
So like you've played with people who are like professional, semi-professional footballers, right? I think a lot of people who've listened to the podcast have. I've got a friend, Max, who currently plays for Lichfield. He used to play for Villa, Coventry. He's been about. Max is brilliant, and whenever like you guys, if you've ever played against somebody who's like not even just semi-pro, but half decent at football, like it's night and day, isn't it? And it almost seems unfair that we've taken our under 19s lads and absolutely trounced like Chasetown's actual team. Like that just it seems so unfair because whenever I play against my mate Max, it's like he doesn't even have to try and he's got me on strings. Too quick, too fast, too strong. He's like 4 years younger than me. It's a joke how good like even semi-pros are. And I don't think people actually realise that until you actually like see it in the flesh, because we come in here and we criticise players all the time on the podcast, but at the end of the day, they're professional athletes. And until you've actually got in the ring with them, you don't really realise how good they are. And I don't know. I wasn't at the Chasetown game, but it's. I almost winced when I saw the scoreline. I thought, oh, God, that's going to absolutely kill these guys because these are, like they're semi-pros.
Yeah, mate, it's like one of those where I think you're right. It's one of those where I'm going to say this about the Villa as well, right? Is that every pre-season result you have to take with a little pinch of salt,
Yeah,
whether that be big wins, big losses, draws, whatever it might be. It's like the result is not why we're there. Obviously, it's great to pick up a win and build confidence and everything like that. But these friendly games aren't about picking up results or anything like that. It's just a fitness test, basically. It's about getting the new boys out there, getting them used to playing alongside new players, getting up fitness levels, figuring out your squad and engaging players early on and everything like that. The result is secondary. If it's good, brilliant. If it's bad, don't worry too much about it. Obviously, it was great to see those young boys go and get a good result and score plenty of goals. It'll be really interesting to see. I'm quite interested to see what happens with a number of those boys and indeed some of the lads that got a run out with the first team as well. Everyone seems to come back in really good shape, which is something that Stevie spoke about in his interview as well. So, from what it seems, pre-season has started off quite well, but the bigger tests obviously will come once the boys fly down under for the tour of Australia, which it's quite interesting, that little tour, mate, because that's every club apart from, I don't know about Brisbane Roar. So if anybody knows anything about Brisbane Roar, let me know down in the comments. But Leeds are in a bit of trouble because Rafinha's not travelled.
yeah.
Man United are in a bit of trouble because Ronaldo's not travelled. We seem to be the only club with our ducks in a row going into that pre-season tour. So it's been made a bit easier because both the clubs that we're playing probably haven't got their star attacking players. It'd be really interesting to see what happens when we go down under, mate.
Absolutely, mate. And I think there are some positives. As you say, you have to take everything with a grain of salt. When I'm looking at pre-season, I think this is what I look for in pre-season is the younger lads and how they're integrating and how well they do. And it was great to see Finn Azaz get a go because someone we poached in 2021, I think, from West Brom. At that time, he was 20, which obviously with like Mark Howard, we took so many people from West Brom when it comes to staff and players and things like that. And at 20, I don't know, it almost felt like now you kind of have to be breaking into the first team at 17, 18. That's the kind of pressure that's put on some of these lads. So it seemed weird that we took this 20-year-old Finn, who, you know, by all accounts was a very good player for West Brom. We've loaned him out to Newport County last season, 42 appearances, 7 goals. And at 21 years of age now, Dan, I mean, he looked more than comfortable. And it's fair to say he tore it up on his loan at Newport. Not too many people actually had that much of a close eye on him, because I think the nature of the deal came in immediately loaned out. So, you know, he's one that a few of us have kind of had to go back and retrospectively look and see how well he's done. It almost feels as if, though, at that age, mate, it's going to be really hard to break into the team. Time isn't really necessarily on his side. And a few people are saying, look, championship loan, this guy's going to tear it up in the championship. He'll come back and he's ready. But what I'm really happy with is the fact that Stevie's given him a chance. First gun straight away, got him in his first lineup for the first half of the Walsall game. And that's really encouraging to see. And obviously, you know, we've seen the likes of Kane Kesler, Ben Crescent. There's been so many of the young lads, Cam Archer as well, who obviously scored yesterday, getting involved. That's what I'm looking for in pre-season, right? Because the first team, they're seasoned pros. It's just about building match fitness for them. But for these guys, they're playing in like game situations with the first team. So I think that probably counts for a bit more for the younger lads.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. 100%. I think the case of Finn Azaz is a really interesting one. Obviously, he won League Two Player of the Year. His time at Newport, he had a really good season there. I actually watched one of his games in the most bizarre circumstances ever. I was on a stag do in Benidorm. And yeah, I know what a start. And I was sat in one of the bars. Yeah, it is, mate. It is, and they literally just show football constantly. Like whatever's on Sky Sports gets banned on these massive screens. And I can't remember what we went in there to watch 12:30, and then afterwards it was Newport against Port Vale came on. And I was in there. The sun was out. I was having a few beers. I was like, "Fuck it, we'll stick and watch it." And Finn Azaz played. He played really well. He scored. I was either too drunk. And it was sort of like rose-tinted glasses. And I was like, wow, this guy's like the second coming of Messi after about 6 pints. But no, I remember him playing really well. He scored in that game. And that's the only 90 minutes I've watched of him. I'm sorry, Finn. I would love to say I've watched more of you, but it's difficult to keep up with all these Villa Loan boys. Yeah, from Newport fans really seem pleased about him. And you're right, his age is very complicated, and that's what makes it quite interesting. I actually thought that we'd sell him on just because the age he's coming through at. I thought he could go and be a real asset further down the leagues. The last thing you want is for him to come back and be stuck in the middle of nowhere for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden he's coming up to 25, and you sort of think he's missed a really good part of his career, and so it'd be really interesting to see what we do with him. And I think it's the same for a number of the younger lads as well, who are sort of coming past that threshold whereby football's taken up a really interesting trend. You're right, mate, where like guys are breaking into the first teams in their teens now. And once you start to, you know, previously you could be coming through at 21 to 23 and it felt like a good age to be doing it. But football's crazy in that, excuse me, in that sense. So yeah, the younger lads, Finn, they really impressed, I thought. Big seasons, I think, since Silo's going to be going on loan to Burton, if I'm not mistaken. Like I saw that. So yeah, a number of those guys have got big years coming up. Kane Kesler obviously was heavily involved in the first goal. Sort of put that ball in, which I think Anwar heads on to Leon Bailey. Great to see Leon score, by the way. Obviously, and then another one of the goal scorers, it falls into the same bracket. I think Cam Archer, mate. We did an episode on him a few weeks ago, sort of discussing where he's going to be this season. I thought that there would be another loan, but looking at how well he's sort of been inducted into the first team, the fact he scored yesterday, I don't know. I think they're gearing him up for some first team involvement this year, mate. And I think I've had to change my tune on that one. I think that's what he's being geared up for. And hey, I'm absolutely here for it. Obviously, he scored yesterday. He scores all the time. And I don't think we'll sign another striker. That's sort of gone a bit quiet, hasn't it? So yeah, interesting, mate. Very good game. Great to see Diego Carlos. Really excited to see the likes of Kamara, who's obviously gone down under. We've got loads of boys coming back who've been playing internationals, including the likes of Keenan Davis, another curious
Big
case.
up.
I'm guessing he's been given a bit of time off because he was in the playoffs, so he was playing later into the season as the internationals were. So I'm guessing he's in that bracket. So it'd be good to see what happens when he comes back. It does feel like obviously we've sorted a lot of our ins now. We're going to talk about another one on this episode that might be coming in, mate. But it feels like we've got a lot of business to do in terms of getting lads out. Obviously, Trezeguet's gone and the like, but it feels like we need to sort out a lot of futures of some guys at the club. Obviously, Freddie G's back in pre-season as well.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with him? I'm really interested to see who's involved and who's not on that pre-season tour. We haven't announced the squad yet, have we? I don't think.
I'm not sure. No, I don't think so.
So that'll be quite telling, I think.
Yeah. No, Priest was saying the other day that it looked like he was going to be involved and then he wasn't. Again, take what he says with a grain of salt, but I don't see how Freddie G gets in, and especially when you're looking at the level of backup that we're bringing in, and we may as well talk about it now. Ludwig Augustinsson. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Now he only played 29 games last season, mate. Which 10 of which were substitute appearances, I think. Played a few Europa League games here and there for Sevilla. Very much a backup option, which is what Villa are looking for, and it's probably a difficult one to really recruit for. But I think if you, on surface level, he's a guy who played with Diego Carlos last season. He's Swedish. He will know Robin Olsen. And as somebody who probably could have played more minutes last season, if we're being completely fair, he comes in, he knows exactly where he's at with the squad. He knows he's going to be back up on a loan deal. I don't really see how this one can go too wrong, really, mate.
No, this is a very agreeable transfer, mate. On a loan with a view to buy, feels really smart. He's 28. He's been playing obviously a lot of football. He's had quite a good career. Obviously, he's been at Sevilla, so he'll know Diego Carlos as well. He's had obviously played a little while in Sweden. Came through an academy with a name that I'm not even going to attempt to butcher. Broma Podjkana. Tell me if I'm saying that right. Someone in the comments. We've got guys listening from everywhere recently. It's amazing. So if anyone from Sweden, drop the pronunciation down below. That's a really prestigious academy in Sweden, though. I was actually doing some research on this. It's actually technically, I love this. It's actually technically the biggest club in the world. There you go. There's your facts for the day. Wow. In terms of the amount of players at the club and the amount of teams that they have like 250 teams at the club. It's like one of the biggest academies in Sweden. It's really reputable. Some big players have come through there. Dejan Kulusevski came through there, and a number of sort of big Swedish prospects from recent years. John Guidetti, shout out.
Should have achieved
loads
more,
of big boys. Yeah, exactly, mate. Albin Ekdal. They've got guys playing in youth teams all over Europe. So he came through at a really good academy. Was picked up by Copenhagen. Spent a bit of time at Werder Bremen before going to Sevilla. Hasn't played a bunch of minutes at Sevilla, but obviously there's quite a lot of competition in that position. So I think that's the one thing I would say that's interesting about this move, in that he's coming to obviously he's left a club where he's been that sort of rotation piece, a very good player in his own right. But obviously Sweden have a lot of players sort of, especially in that left back spot, which he's found difficult to sort of leapfrog. And he's coming to a club where he's going to face that same sort of situation. And obviously, Marcos Acuna and the like have sort of kept him out of that position. And you imagine Dino will here. That's the only thing I found remotely interesting about this deal. But, there's nothing to turn your nose about. He's been playing, obviously, European football, which is important. Obviously, with a loan, he's 28, he's seasoned. I was expecting us to go for someone slightly younger, but he's a guy that's playing at a very good level. he's clearly a very good professional. He went to the World Cup with Sweden. He's got real qualities going forward. He actually started out as a midfielder as well, so he's obviously got a lot of technical ability. But he's dropped in at fullback. He's a good set piece specialist as well. Takes a lot of corners and free kicks when he does play for Sevilla. And so, yeah, I think it's a Swedish defender. Scandinavian defenders usually do pretty well at Villa.
They do.
I'm struggling to think of too many that haven't gone on to do so well. But yeah, on the whole, I think it's a good deal, mate.
Yeah, I think as well, like looking forward, Ben Crescent, obviously somebody who has been involved in pre-season, we've seen a bit of media from as well. It looks like they sort of rate Ben quite highly. And I think one of the things on the top of the agenda when it comes to outgoing players is getting this kid into a championship club, playing week in, week out. Let's really get him some minutes under his belt. And then, when this loan ends, Ben's probably in a much better position next season to be then competing with Luca. Kind of got, as I say, it's been fairly quiet on the left back front recently. We've spoke about Gomez, we spoke about the French guy whose name has gone from the top of my mind at the moment. But left back's been a position that we've been speaking about for weeks, and it's finally picked up. He's averaging 2.98 clearances per 90, with 2.35 aerials, 1 per 90, puts him within the top 2 and 5 percentile respectively for those stats. Reed's very similar to Luca Dean, to be fair. I think Luca has a much better attacking output, and the numbers will prove that. But defensively solid. And if we are going to look to make deep runs into cup competitions and just finish as high up the league as we possibly can, then these are the signings, whilst they may not be as exciting, but Villa have to make.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I think it's one that, as you said, it feels very agreeable. Feels like someone that, Stevie's talked a lot about having players come in that are going to provide active competition. He doesn't want there to be a natural pecking order at the club or guys that get too comfortable. And I think, not including Emi Martinez in this, but it's probably those fullback spots that feel the safest at Villa. Probably feel like Kashi and Dean have got it the most easy at the club in terms of the competition that they've got. And so, yeah, this feels quite healthy. It feels like someone that we can rely on. He's going to be a very good option as rotation, especially against sides sort of coming into the bottom half of the league. Feels like someone that you can definitely trust in those games, and you're not going to miss out too much on those offensive qualities. So yeah, mate, coming in, I struggle to think of too many things that I disagree with. I think the loan to buy is incredibly smart. You're seeing that more and more in football, aren't you? Clubs wanting to try before they buy. I think that's a really good, especially when you're buying sort of rotation pieces and stuff. I think that's really smart, so that you don't buy into something that you're not quite sure what you're getting. Yeah, mate, I think, as I said, on the whole, it's something that's come about quite quickly. Obviously, the club do go under the radar a lot of the time with their business, and it feels like we've done that pretty well this time. It feels like this one's pretty close. So, yeah, I think we can talk about this one with relative confidence, mate.
Absolutely. Hopefully we see this one get done soon. Guys, if you enjoyed this podcast, let us know by hitting a like, commenting your thoughts below, and subscribe so you never miss any content from us here at Heart of the Holte, up the Villa.